Vedheads, on today's episode, we're going to talk about whether or not running a second set of winter tires is a good idea. Let's get started. All right, Vedheads, if you don't follow this channel, please hit that subscribe button. On today's episode, we're going to talk about whether or not I liked running a second set of snow tires, some of the benefits, and some of the negatives that went along with it. Here's the thing. I know that this video is not for everyone, and obviously not everyone's going to run a second set of snow tires, but I do get occasionally, because my channel is centered around daily driving my Corvette, I do get the occasional question if it's a good starter car, if it's a great car to daily drive, would I recommend it? And I think part of that is full well knowing what's going to happen in the winter. Now, I do live in a 4-season climate, that's what I call it, and we do get snow in the winter. I have driven my Corvette in the snow, and I know a lot of people are cringing right now, and that's cool. So I do switch to snow tires when the average temperature tends to fall below 45 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what the tire manufacturers recommend. We can have a conversation about whether or not that's actually true or not at another time, but that is when I switch to winter tires. So, the very first thing is, did I notice a difference between my summer tires and my winter tires? So yes, but not in the reason you probably think. I actually think that these winter tires, I went with Pirelli SottoZero 3s, performed fantastically in dry weather. Really, really well. A lot better than I expected. But however, when it comes to snow, there's obviously a huge difference, right? So unfortunately, this one time a couple years ago, actually my friend Justin could tell you this story too, I accidentally got caught in a snowstorm, and at that time I wasn't running winter tires. I was running solely summer tires. Now, in my defense, I did check the weather, and the weatherman lied to me, told me nothing was going to stick. Lo and behold, I'm driving through an inch of snow. If you've ever done that with summer tires, I would never recommend it. It's absolutely terrible. You have absolutely no grip. These winter tires are phenomenal in that aspect. I really had no issues starting from a standstill in these winter tires. I felt that I didn't lose any traction going around corners. I think I drove in 3 separate snowstorms with about an inch on the ground. The entire winter, I may have set the traction control off twice, and one of them, I actually wanted to see how fast I could start in the snow with these tires. So the next thing that you're going to want to consider is cost. If you've bought tires for the Corvette, I am running stock size. I'm running the 245 R17s in the front and the 275 R18s in the back. I am actually running on a second set of stock rims that I was lucky enough to get for fairly cheap. The thing is, when you buy Corvette tires, because of the size, they tend to run fairly expensive. As a matter of fact, I think when I bought my Michelin Pilot Super Sports 2 years ago, or 3 years ago now, I spent about $1,000. Believe it or not, that's pretty much the same thing I spent for winter tires. Now, Pirellis are obviously at the high end, but because of the sizing, I ran into the issue where I didn't have much choice, right? My choice was Pirelli, and then I'm going to put this other name up on the board that I saw. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it because I'm going to butcher it, but I believe it's a Swedish or Norwegian brand. Unfortunately, they were about $200 more than the Pirellis. So if you do daily drive your Corvette like I do, and you want to drive in the winter, and you don't want to spend $2,000 on 2 sets of tires or more, or your alternative is to run a set of all seasons. Now, I have personally never done that, so I can't speak to how well that works. But I have seen people online talk about running all seasons and say they love it. It saves them. They only have to buy 1 set of tires. They feel it handles really well in the summer. Obviously, I'm not racing, so I don't necessarily need a dedicated set of summer tires. I just like having the 2 sets. That's just my personal preference. Final thing, what would I do different? What I would do different is I would probably look to have a dedicated set of wheels that I run in the winter that are a different size. Possibly even squared up. I think the front size is 8.5 inches and the back is 9.5 inches width. I would look for a thinner wheel, and that would allow me to purchase a thinner tire. Now, I know on a sports car, typically you want a fat tire. However, when you're driving in snow, you don't necessarily need that fat tire. As a matter of fact, if you look at rally cars, they often run incredibly thin tires, at least for modern standards, and that gives you better grip in the snow, believe it or not. Again, that's going to save me money-wise. I do want to play with that going forward. So final thoughts. Winter tires are definitely not going to be for everyone. Probably even those daily driving may consider an all season over a set of winter tires. Ultimately, I am glad I did it. I've been really happy with my Pirelli SottoZeros. The limitations on the Corvette are such that anything really over an inch or an inch and a half of snow, you're not going to be driving anyway. So that's definitely something else to factor in. Is it worthwhile? You know, the cost of it is pretty expensive. If you live in a four-season climate like I do, I definitely suggest maybe doing some research on people who have run all-season tires and see if that's a better way to go for you. Again, it's financial situation at that point. You know, all seasons are going to run cheaper. So with that being said, guys, what do you think? Was it dumb? Would you run a second set of winter tires? I don't even know why I asked that. Most of you guys are going to say no. But thank you for watching, and if you aren't already subscribed, and I will see you on the next episode.